All right, I'd like to show you how to draw your sandblasted mirror. It's really fairly easy. We're going to be using a program called CorelDRAW. Now, you probably don't have an icon on your desktop for CorelDRAW. You need to install that. You can go to this button down here called the Start button, and you can click on All Programs. We're looking for the program called CorelDRAW Graphics Suite X5, and we're going to select that. And CorelDRAW Graphics Suite is a whole bunch of programs that come as a suite together. We only want CorelDRAW X5. Right-click on it and tell it you want to send that to the desktop. That is called creating a shortcut. And when we do that, now we have a copy of an icon that we can click on, and that will open the program called CorelDRAW. That way you don't have to go through the Start menu every time just to open the program. We can also do the same thing with another program called Paint. It's hidden under Accessories in the Start menu, so go to All Programs, and then we need to find Accessories. Okay. Right-click on Paint. Send it to the desktop, creating a shortcut. Okay. We'll use the Paint program also in just a minute, but if you have those on your desktop, it'll be very handy. Let's go back to the CorelDRAW program. Now, there was a little box that came up here, a white box. I closed it. It's not really necessary. You can go to File, and you can start a new picture. Now, you'll want to name it, and I suggest you use your last name. As the file name, and then be sure to set up the width and the height of your drawing. Now, mine already came up as 12 by 12 because I've made a lot of mirrors in the past, and it kind of second guesses what it thinks I might want. Yours probably says 8.5 by 11, so change those to read 12 by 12. And I'm going to click OK. And now it's set up my page size so that I know about approximately how much area I have to work with for my sandblasted mirror. Now, this is not actually an object, so it is not going to cut out anything around the outside edge unless I actually make an object. So over here are the different tools that we can choose from for drawing things. This one here is one of the easiest tools to use. It's called the rectangle tool. I'm going to select that, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click and drag a rectangle around my whole entire project. And I'm going to let go of it. Now we actually have an object there that the vinyl cutter will see and be able to cut out. That gray line that was there before just shows you where your paper is. It doesn't actually cut. Now up here we'll need to change this to the right size where it's the object size. It's supposed to be 12 by 12. Now be sure and click enter when you're done so that it changes your square to the right size, and that looks like it fits perfectly. If you need to move it a little bit, you can use the arrow keys on your keyboard. I think that's easier than using the mouse to get it lined up just the way you want it. Now, the vinyl cutter won't actually cut that because the line isn't the right thickness. It cuts with a razor blade. So look what happens if I change the line thickness to 12. See, it makes it really bold. A razor blade can't cut a line that's that wide, so we have to change this to hairline. And now it will be able to cut that out. Now there's a couple things you should set up before you actually start drawing pictures on here. First of all, you see this little thing in the corner? That resets the numbering on the ruler bars. So it's at 12 right over here, and it's at 0 there. I'd like this point right on the corner to be my 0 point. And so now it reset the numbering. This is the pick tool up here, and it's good for picking things and moving them around. And so I've got the numbers on my ruler lined up. You can see that I have a black arrow for my cursor right now. When I go up and I put it on the ruler, notice it changes to white. If you click and drag down, it'll drag a dotted line down that we can use as a guideline. The program will not print dotted lines, so we're moving this down. It's supposed to be 3/4 of an inch down from the 0. 1, 2, 3/4 is right there. And so that means that we don't want to put our pictures up here in this border. the mirror has a beveled edge that goes all the way around it. So we want to make sure we don't put anything in the way of that. I'm going to drag a ruler over from this ruler. See where the 12 is? We're going to move it down 1, 2, 3 marks. I couldn't get that exact, so I'm just going to use the arrow keys to move it over. I'm going to drag another one down from the top, and there's the 12. Come up 1, 2, 3. I'm going to drag one over from the side, and it needs to be 1, 2, 3 marks over. So there we go. We have the border marked out so we know what to avoid when putting our pictures on there. You could also drag a line over to mark the center. If this is 12 inches all the way across, we could divide that into 2 equal parts. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, so I put it on the 6-inch mark, and I'm going to drag another line down from the top, and I'm going to put it on the 6-inch mark. Now, so far, we really haven't drawn much, just a square on our paper, but now we can import pictures to put in the center. I'll show you how to type text to put some words on there, and also I can show you where to get some really nice corner designs to add some interest to your project. Let's go to the internet first and check out what's available. I'm going to go to Google Chrome, and then I'm going to do a search. I want to put a goat on my project, so I'm going to write nanny goat. Now you'll get all these beautiful pictures. However, photographs do not work at all for this project. Okay, I'll maximize this so you can see it. I'm going to tell it I just want pictures of goats. I don't need articles about them. And then I'm going to also select search tools. Now, there's lots of different things we can set it for. Size is really important. We don't want an image that doesn't have enough resolution. So we need images that are larger than 800 by 600. So if you select that, it should narrow it down a little bit more. And then go to type. We're looking for line drawings. Photographs will not work. Oh, here we go. This is the exact picture I was hoping I would find. So I'm going to click on it. You can copy it from right here if you want, or you can just click on it and it'll take you to the original. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to save the image as. And it's saving it in my pictures library. That's good. That's where I want to save it. You need to watch closely where it's saving it, though. You could accidentally get it put in the wrong place, and that would make it really hard to find. So I'm going to name it Goat 6, and it's been saved. And now I'd like to import it into my CorelDRAW file that I was making. So I'm going to go back to my sandblasted mirror, and I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to Import. Now I want to import that picture or bring it in. I don't want to open a new picture. So I'm looking to see in my pictures where that might be. And look, I've done this before. So I've got 2 copies of it. Click Import. And then I can drag it to the size that I want. And there's my picture. So I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to come out here. I'm going to right click on this white area. And now I'm going to paste it. Oh, it didn't do anything. Try it again. Paste. Well, every time you press paste, it's pasting it right on top of the old one. So you have extra copies of it. So make sure you only have the copies that you need. I'm going to delete this one. Now, if you click on this one, you can reverse it. There's 2 ways. One is to drag this over and flip it around. Problem is you may not get it exactly right, and it could be all stretched out and look kind of funky. I'm going to press Ctrl-Z, which will put it back the way it was. And I'm going to go up here and I'm going to use this horizontal mirror tool. It works really good for flipping things around. Okay, so I can get these pictures lined up exactly where I want them. And now I'm ready to get some corner designs to put over here. And a good place to find corner designs is my website. So I'm going to minimize this screen and I'm going to go to my Mantech webpage. On the Mantech webpage, you'll want to go to the Sandblasted Mirror project, and then there's several different types of corners here. So I'm going to look at the easy corners first and see if I can find some that I like. Oh, that one's pretty nice. Yeah, why don't I pick that one? Now this is just a thumbnail. If you copy this one, you'll end up with a miniature picture so small we can barely see what it is, and it won't turn out very well. Actually click on the picture and go to where the original version is stored. If you right-click on it, you can save the image as, and then I can put that in my pictures library. Now I like to give things descriptive names so I can tell what it is without even looking. So let's call it a heart corner. All right, and then I'm going to save that. Next, I'm going to go back to CorelDRAW, and I'm going to import that corner design. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Import, and I'm going to look for that picture. Hopefully it's stored in My Pictures. There we go, heart corner. Import, and I'm going to stick it in the corner and drag it to the size that I'd like. That one looks like it would fit best down in this corner, doesn't it? All right, now I'd like to make copies of this to put over here and over here and up here. The thing is, we have to convert this picture to something that the vinyl cutter can read. This is a picture made out of pixels. Pixels are little teeny miniature dots. So if I zoom in on this, you should be able to see those dots. And see how the edges are like really jagged? Those are all the little dots that make up that picture. So we need a program that will actually smooth this out and turn it into what's called a vectorized image so that it will work with the vinyl cutter. And that program is actually built right into CorelDRAW. So I've got this object selected. I'm going to go up to the top where it says bitmaps, and I'm going to go to outline trace. We're going to use the line art version of outline trace. And here's the one that we're starting with. And here's the one that ended up being traced. In this one, you can see the edges are really jagged, and here they're nice and smooth. Now there's a couple of boxes you should get in the habit of checking. One is delete original image. That box is not always checked, but it should be. And the other is specify or remove color. Let's try remove color first. That seems to work the best. And you can see there's a checkerboard pattern behind all the pictures. That really helps us because it traces the part that's behind the checkerboard. So we're going to click OK. And now if we move this, it should show up with blue lines. The vinyl cutter will cut those blue lines. It won't necessarily cut anything that's black on your picture. So make sure you trace all your pictures. Now, the easiest way to do it is to trace it before we copy it and paste it all over our drawing. So now I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to copy it. I need 3 more copies, right? Paste, paste, and paste. Good, now I can move these over. I'll put this one over here, one up here, and one over here. That was the easy way to do it. When I did the goat, unfortunately, I did 2 separate goats. So I'm going to have to either trace this twice or delete one of the goats and then recopy it. It's not that hard, but I'll go up to bitmaps and I'll do outline trace by line art of the first goat. Now, when it finishes, you see the taskbar at the bottom. Could take a minute or 2. It doesn't always show all the details inside of the goat. Like right up there, you see that the goat's ear didn't get traced just perfectly. If you click on remove color, that should fix that problem. And now we see the checkerboard through there, so we know that it's going to work. I'm going to click OK and put it back into my drawing. I can check it and see if it's blue, and it is, so that should work. Okay. I'll trace this other goat in a minute. Bitmaps, outline trace by line art. Click OK. I'll remove color. And it's still working on it. Could take a minute. And now it's back in my drawing. If you move it and you see another picture there, it means you forgot to click on the box that said delete original. Okay, I'm going to move these, there's different ways to do that. One is to click on it twice. And these arrows show you can rotate it. So I could just take it and I could flip it around and get it the way I want it. The problem is that you may not get it the exact amount that ends up being square with the corner. So if you know your multiples of 90, you could type them in. I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees, and that'll make it perfect. You could also just use this mirror tool, and you can flip it around different ways until you finally get it the way you want it, and then put it in place. This one's all right, and this one needs to be flipped around. There we go. Now I'm going to try and set these up so they're exactly in the corner. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move it if you need to. And if you make it so they're just touching, then you can get all of them about exactly the same spot. This one needs to be moved down. Now I need to move the pictures so that they are lined up with this horizontal dotted line. You can just use the keyboard after you select it to move it down, or you can actually drag it with the mouse. But that X should be on the dotted line. Also, I need to make sure that the nose of the goat is equally distant from the center line on both goats. So this one here needs to come over. There, that's good. Now I'm ready to add some text. The best way to add text is to go over to use the text tool right here. And it's a big letter A. And notice that my cursor now changes to the letter A, which is a symbol for the text tool. Before I start typing though, I need to go up to the top here and change my font. I like Arial Black. It's a nice bold font. This is just asking me if I want that basically for my default. And so anytime I type during this drawing, I do want that as my default text. So I'm going to click OK. And then I also need to select the size of my font. I'm going to use size 48. That's about the minimum size. If it's too small, it's going to be really hard to peel off later on when you do what's called weeding. So I'm going to click where I want to type some words, and it's a good idea to keep most of your words separate. So I've figured out what I want to type, and I'm going to do it in all caps. Capital letters are required, so make sure you use capital letters for all your words on this project. Okay, so I put one group of words there. On another line, I'm going to write goatee and a question mark. And then down here, I'm going to write and then put on a separate line okay, now I just need to put these so they're centered. Those X's belong on the dotted line. If I switch to the pick tool, then it'll allow me to arrow over with the keyboard. I think I want that down a little lower, maybe approximately even with the end of the heart. And then I'm going to lower this to give it some more space. That looks pretty good. Get this centered. All right, now I have my text in place, and you will need to convert this text so that it's vectorized. I'm going to click on the text first, and I'm going to go up to bitmaps. Now, last time you did this, you were able to do the tracing. For some reason, you aren't able to do that with the text. So the best way to do it is convert it to a bitmap. And on this, we're just going to click OK. And now when we go back to bitmaps and we look, it says quick trace, center line trace, or outline trace. Well, we said before, use outline trace and line art. And it's tracing it right now. You can see the checkerboard is completely behind all the text, and the text looks good. So I'm going to click OK. Now that brought it back in. Unfortunately, now that brought it back into my drawing, and since I had the box checked that said delete original, that's the only copy there. You might want to check that. Bitmaps, I'm going to convert it to a bitmap. I'm going to click OK, and there it is converted. Now I just have to trace it. So the tracing items are lit up. Use outline trace and line art. Okay. Look for the checkerboard. It's inside the letters. Okay, I've got delete original, and also remove color is a good idea most of the time. And so I can move that now and verify that it is in blue. Check, make sure there's nothing underneath it, and then I can put it back where it belongs. Now, occasionally you'll have some problems occur where letters may disappear right here. If you're having a problem and it's not coming out the way it should, you might play around with some of the options over here. You can remove color from the entire image. Sometimes that helps. Specify color. Sometimes that helps. If it doesn't work or you can't get it figured out, you can always change the type of font that you're using, and that typically will solve the problem. All right, I'm going to select the whole picture, and then I'm going to move it to the side very slowly. I'm going to hold it over here, and I'm going to look and see what shows. Now it looks like I have a problem. You see the big gray box there? That is something that did not get traced properly. So I'm going to put it back, Control Z. I'm going to click on those words, and I'm going to move them and see what's going on with them. For some reason, maybe I forgot to trace them. So I'll go back, bitmaps, outline trace by line art. Okay, it's doing it, remove color, click OK. And now, if I move it, fix the problem. So this looks like it's just about ready to print. You'll need to have the teacher check it, and all I'm going to do is put a square around it, and I'm going to move it. And if I see that something hasn't been traced, or there's a square around something, then I'll know that there's a problem and I'll have you fix it. Occasionally people use quick trace. Quick trace will put a square all the way around your object, and that will cut when it goes to the vinyl cutter. So don't use quick trace. All right, so now I'm going to open it on Alpha or Bravo, which are the two computers that work on the vinyl cutter.